Hi guys, welcome back to yet another episode of public speaking series brought to you by Project I Create, presented by Swan Livelihood. I am your host Janvi, and today we're going to talk about a very important and I would say the most important topic of this entire public speaking series, and that is business communication or corporate communication. The reason that I'm saying this is because not everyone is gonna start a business, as we discussed in the last topic, and not everyone needs help in finding their strengths and opportunities because they had their life sorted and they you know know what they are gonna do in future. And not everyone is that bad speaker as well. So today we are, as I mentioned, that we are going to talk about business communication. Here, since it's a huge topic and it's impossible to cover everything about this in like our 20-30 minutes session, so what we're going to do is we are going to touch base on all of the most important topics that we as newcomers into the corporate industry um, face, and what we really need to know to be better at communication in our corporation. So, without further ado, let's get started with our first slide. So, before moving deeper into the slide that says four types of business communication, it mentions some of the technical jargons that we use in our corporates. So, let me first break down these technical jargons so that it would be easier for you to understand. So, first is internal. Internal is anything that's within oneself. So, here, internal movement of communication would be something that happens, the communication that happens internally, like within a group. So for example, within employees, within the age in the general meeting, within shareholders. So all this is the internal communication basically that happens in a corporation. And the other one is external communication. So external communication includes all the third parties and the stakeholders, like the environment, the stakeholders like our suppliers and our vendors and governments. All these are the media houses. All these are the external example of external communication. Upward and downward movement, we know upward whenever what the source of anything that starts from above and then comes down slowly, that's basically the downward movement. And the upward movement is vice versa, so one that starts from the bottom and then goes straight up to the top. Now that we know the basic terminologies that we use, let's now discuss this first slide. The reason that I'm being really fast today is because this is a huge topic, and if I am not that fast, then it would be really impossible for me to cover even this tiniest of the topic that I'm gonna cover today. All right. So the first type of business communication is internal upward movement. So the internal upward movement is basically internal communication that, let's say, it's within the employees and it goes from the bottom level of employees, let's say associates or contract workers, and slowly and steadily it goes upward to the top management, to the leaders. So let's read what it says here: from the subordinate to a manager within the company. Yeah. The second type is internal downward. So internal again within the employees, and downward would be like there is a notice that, let's say, we have to start working from offices, or there is a mass leave that the company is offering. So it's like the internal movement of communication, and it's downward because this decision is coming from the top level managers to its subordinates and or to its associates. So from a manager to subordinate within a company is internal downward. Third is internal lateral. So lateral, I didn't really explain this. Lateral movement is like the horizontal movement of communication. So the communication that occurs in the same level is the lateral movement. So if we, cut something horizontally, that's a lateral movement. If we cut something vertically, that's either upward or downward movement, to be to understand these terms easier. So internal lateral would be internal communication, but it's like within, different department heads, let's say, or within the employees that are on the same level. So let's say if I'm a team leader, I'm having a meeting with several the team leaders of several different departments. Like if I'm a team leader for the um, customer service or client success department, I'm having a team meeting with the team leaders of vendors of client service, of the hospitality services, or the business operations team leaders, and so on. So among the employees within the company, external would be with external parties, as I mentioned. So we don't really have to go further deep into it. So external could be like getting a government notice that we have to follow the COVID-19 protocols in every company. That would be one of the examples for the external movement of business communication. Now let's go to the second slide. Modes of communication. So this is just to give a clarification of what can be the modes of communication in any business. These are not all of the examples that are there, but these are the major areas that we use to communicate within a business. So one would be reports. We get regular reports to our emails and everything, so that we know, as an employee of the company, we know how the company is doing, and various stakeholders or the prospective clients are also aware about the reports. Like we have reports for our profit and whatnot. Let's move on. Second is articles. We have several articles that are published either in the newsletters of the business itself, or there are articles that are published in magazines as well. So that is one of the examples. Emails, this is like the second, or I would say in the work from home scenario, it's basically the first and most important mode of communication, because email is now everything. So we will know the reason why in the later part of the slides, but email is very important. Again, I will suggest you, like if you are working in a corporate, please do not you know trust too much on verbal communications. So even if you are communicating with even your managers, but make sure that everything is there written and it cannot be edited, because it will definitely gonna help you a lot in the long run, and it helps you to remember as well. Next would be websites. If we have any career opening, this is a basic and the most popular example. So if we have any career opening, we just go to the website of the company job portal, and we can post it there. And similarly, all the job seekers as well are gonna visit the website to get all the information about it. This is one of the examples of how website is used as a mode of communication. Next would be press release, where we hold a general press meeting where a lot of journalists are there, and we either through articles, we just email them the articles that we want to be released in the press, or we like, for example, the basic example of the press release would be whenever our ministers have to give any information, they call all the journalists together, they stand there on the podium, and then they just give us the information. So that is one of the examples of press release. Next is infographics. Now, what is infographics? The infographics are basically used mostly by the graphic designers. So they are like a combination of audio, video, and written visual profile that we create in a page or two, that has all the basic information that one should have, but not everything in detail, so that we just have an overview of what that infographic is about and what the business really wants to communicate it. um, and it also is quite catchy to the eyes to be I look very appealing, so that more and more people come and read it. Next would be meetings, of course. Living in homes, we are, very used to the voice of our Zoom meetings and Slack huddles. So I don't really have to, more, explain it in detail. So let's go back to connects. Connects would be like one-on-one skip meetings, or, as I mentioned, Slack huddles, where we need to quickly talk to someone, but uh, talk to someone. However, we can't really use WhatsApp calls and normal calls unless it's really necessary in a business. So these are the connects that we have. It can be either in the Zoom, Google Meet, but it's generally on Discord or Slack or any personal messaging tool that we use in our business. Calls, again, calls would be, it's not necessary that they are WhatsApp calls or normal calls, but yeah, they can be examples of calls. Calls would basically be talking, just verbally talking without, being physically present at one place. So yeah, that's all about it. Now what's this last part? Notice. So notice would be, again, in the bulletin boards we get some notices, or we get red flagged emails that are really important, and we want everyone to see it, so we put it in the notice so that everyone knows what's happening. Let's move on. So this is a huge slide, and it has a lot of information, so let me break it down for you. So one part of the slide talks about active listening skills, and one part talks about the ways to communicate better. So let's see, what should we pick first? Let's talk about the active listening first. So whenever you're communicating, let's talk about what you're gonna what you're gonna say and what you're gonna talk about later. But the most important part is how you basically present your what your matter that you're going to present, and how to basically listen to what you're going to what you're listening. So hearing is not really necessary. Listening is what is important here, because hearing is just that, we have ears, we have noises coming, so we just hear. But listening includes understanding as well. So active listening in business is really very important, especially if you're in client services, because you won't want to ask the client or the managers to repeat themselves. Trust me, you would not want that. So let's see. First is the eye contact. Of course, if you're, in one-on-one connects or in meetings where it's either the physical meets or in the virtual meets where you are, you have turned your camera on. It's really necessary that you're constantly looking at the screen and not really looking here and there. And I've discussed this in the public speaking, the first episode as well, where I talked about how to be a good public speaker. So yeah, eye contact is really necessary. So let's see what's written here. Eye contact during the conversation shows that the speaker shows the speaker that you give them your attention and that you really care about what he says. So moving on to the second topic, point is avoid distractions. We really need to avoid distractions, and by distractions it can be anything. It can be like our phone, it can be like chipping nails, biting nails, and we just we have, especially guys, have this habit of constantly touching their hair or fixing their skin or itching and this and that. Avoid distractions, no matter you really don't have to give each other looks. It's not necessary. So if a manager, if even your employee, if your subordinate or a colleague is talking, just maintain the eye contact and listen to him without doing any other task. Next is body gestures. So body gestures and language are a whole science, and I have discussed about the body gestures in the first episode as well of public speaking. So your body gestures tell the speaker whether you listen carefully or not. So just to give an overview, gestures include not crossing your arms, not being shaky, not shaking your legs, nodding wherever necessary but not nodding too much, and slightly bending in forward, so that the speaker knows that you're paying attention. And I'm not gonna cover much on this, and if you have not watched the first episode, you can go back and watch the first episode. I have covered this topic in somewhat detail, not exactly in a lot detail, but yeah, you will get a whole gist, and it would be manageable. Trust me. Next is give feedback. If so it's not really in corporate, when you are giving interviews as well, giving feedback is really necessary. And by feedback, we don't really have to um, say that yeah, it was a great presentation. I mean, yes, if it's a presentation, you should say it. Definitely you should appreciate that. Yeah, you did your efforts, and even if it was not really nice, you don't have to be mean and say that. So just say it was nice. um, so if you're close enough, you can bring them in a private space and give feedback personally. And yes, if you are gonna not gonna say something good about the person, I would suggest either not say it at all, or if you feel that you're comfortable enough with that person and that person takes feedbacks really well, I would suggest you to go to him in person and do that, and not never ever give feedback in front of any third party. So ask questions, yeah. So I was mentioning that it's not really in the meetings and the corporate communications once you're an employee to a company, but in interviews as well. Once the interview is over, the interviewer always asks you, always, if you have any questions. So even if you don't, prepare your questions in advance. So, and also, when I mentioned that prepare your questions in advance, it should not be something, it should not be something again, something like how many leaves do you provide, or why should I join this company, or something like that, something in negative terms. So never, never ever. So if you want to, either don't ask questions at all, just say no, you think you're good, but I would suggest that you ask questions. And if you do, um make it more catchy questions, like something like how is my work culture gonna be, or ask about any press release that they've done recently, and just ask some question about it, that read this article recently about XYZ, and I was really curious about ABC. So could you please help me understand? And additionally, you don't really get to the need to go to the bottom of that topic. You just ask something that's relevant to your job. Next is show that you're listening. Again, so how can you show that you're listening? To one, by actually listening. Second, body gestures. Third, eye contact. Fourth, avoid distraction. So facial expressions also help a lot. To like a smile, but don't show your teeth. Don't laugh, don't grin. So smile, but in a polite way. That, yeah, that's a good point. Something like that. Note your posture. Again, I'm not gonna touch base on that because I've already discussed it twice now. Encourage the speaker to share and to continue. So if he has any question, I mean, if people are asking questions, or if the speaker has asked if whether or not we have any questions, and let's say no one speaks up, so either if you have a question, ask. If you don't, and if you say that there's an awkward silence, you can just say, I think we're good. Let's move on further. So that would be a really positive point, and the manager would notice it. Next is listening allows you to learn, to have relationships, to plan, to develop, to be a part of something, to create, to think, and much more, of course. Let's move on to the other section of the slide, that's ways to communicate better. Now that we know how to listen actively and how to be a better listener, let's talk about ways to communicate better. So first is, if you're communicating in written form, always, always proofread your emails. You would not want any missing terms, or missing or typos. So even if communicating with your colleagues whom you're not really friendly with, avoid typos, because it would be really embarrassing if you do not follow this. Be confident, of course. So I always say this in all of my sessions: fake it till you make it, because I understand this, that not everyone can be confident, and not everyone can be confident at all times. So even if a person like me who's confident, but it's not like 24/7 I can be full of confidence. There will be certain parts of my day where I don't feel like it. So even if you are feeling down, just fake it, because if you're not confident in corporate, it would be a huge disadvantage. And trust me when I say this, don't be too social or informal. So this is something that everyone who has been in the industry for quite some time is gonna know. It's good to have friends in the company. It's great actually if you have friendly bonds. But if you're new, or if you are at an associate or executive associate level, so I would suggest you to take a step back. Don't be too informal. First read the other person, and even if the other person is being too informal, it's okay. You can be a little laid back. However, you would not want to be extremely social, that you're sharing your personal things and being using tu and Hindi. Don't use Hindi in corporates. Never use Hindi in corporates. Always speak in English unless it's really necessary. Be professional. Of course, I don't really have to explain this. So it also includes the previous point, that don't be too social and informal. So you don't really need to be friends with your colleagues. It's good to have corporate friends, but corporate friends are not actual friends. Keep that in mind. And it and this is a really very controversial thing that I'm saying, but yeah, that's the truth. Call people by their names. Yeah, so this is something that I understood really late. So until last year December, yes, I used to call everyone sir, ma'am, haya, Didi. No, not really. But when you're in corporate, call them with their names. Even if he's a director, even if she is a manager, team leader, no matter who they are, call them by their names. You don't need sir and ma'am. And even if someone is really older than you, it's fine. Just call them by their name, until and unless you're in working in an educational institution. So like if you're a teacher, or if you're a school teacher, institute teacher, you're an NGO, there they do follow some bureaucracy. But here in corporate, just call them by their names. Don't be too shy. Avoid gossips. Never talk about anyone in corporate, especially not to your colleagues. Just avoid it. Whenever someone is gossiping, either exclude yourself, or just don't say anything. Don't. Especially never in corporate networking sites. Like if you're using Zoom or Discord, never gossip about someone with your friends on corporates, because they are being monitored and you never know. Always communicate through emails. I talked about this earlier as well. This would do wonders, because it's not really about, having trust issues, but it can really help you take a dig at a time, and you will, remember that yes, this needs to be done, this is what I said. So even if there is some disparity, or there is some confusion within the between you and your manager or your colleagues, you have it written that yes, this is what I said and this is exactly what I did. So that will really help you to stay safe. Call people. Oops, I included this twice. Always greet people and say that. Okay, I really apologize for all this. Okay, so whenever you meet someone in corporates, always greet them. And when I say you greet them, either you can bow a little, you just nod your head, smile with your teeth, and handshake. It's really nice if you shake your hands. Now, a very important thing about handshakes is not it's not really what how casual as you think it is, because I have seen this. Most of the people, when they handshake, they when they shake hands, they just do it for the namesake. However, it's not really a formality that you're doing. So when you shake hands, it's basically etiquette, first of all, and second, when shake hands, how let me let me give you like a brief of how to shake hands with someone. So if it's a girl, the girl should always initiate. So if you're a boy, never initiate a handshake first, especially to your interviewer. And if you're a girl, always initiate a handshake first. And when you do it, when when you shake hands, be firm. So your grip should be really firm. You should not be really lethargic. Your hand should not be really sweaty, and handshake should neither be too short or too small. So when you shake hands, it should the grip should be really tight, and just shake or nod twice or thrice, and you're done. That's it. Avoid words like sorry, but, why, no. This is a stupid question, because even in training, I have heard people saying this a lot. So they, even if someone don't get anything and they want to repeat, or anyone to repeat, they say sorry. Or if they did not do something correctly, they say sorry. But you don't really say sorry much when you're in corporate, so avoid using the term sorry. You can say I apologize. However, again, it's something that you should minimally use. But, why, no, I'm gonna talk about this later. This is a stupid question. What is a stupid question? I never understand this. So whenever people, before asking a question, most of the people, most, they say, I know this is a stupid question, I don't want to sound silly, this question might sound silly. No question is silly. You are in training, and even if you're not, even if your question is silly, so what? So you don't really give yourself that stupid tag yourself. Okay, so it's okay to ask questions. Even it's okay to ask even the simplest of the questions. That's okay. But never say that I'm sorry, I'm asking you this again. I'm sorry, this might sound stupid. No. Next, benefits of good communication. So it will keep the employees and your relationship, uh, corporate relationships, happy and healthy. Builds a positive company culture, and basically builds a positive work environment, improves business relations, encourage company innovation, and promote customer satisfaction. No. So these would be the last two slides, and these are really, really, really important slides. So even though I don't want to be quick, but I have to, because we are exceeding the time. First, business emails. are really the bread and butter nowadays. Everything that we do in corporates is there in the business emails. So, how do we write a business email? First would be the subject line. So, let's say, "Hey Janvi, greetings for the day." One would be first would be salutation, then the greetings for the day, then this email is in this email is in regards to XYZ, then explain. After this, come to the next line, then explain the situation a little better. Once you've done that, once you've explained, if you have asked them a question or are waiting want them to reply, let's say awaiting your response and looking forward to hearing from you, or looking forward looking forward to your response. Write this at the end: "Have a great day, thanks," or "Regards, Janvi." That's how you do it. Or if you have a signature, you can add your signature in the emails as well, so that you don't really have to type in "Regards, Janvi" again. Now this is the last slide, and I'm gonna take it a little slow. The reason that this slide is the most important slide of the entire public speaking series that we have already discussed about, and we are gonna discuss about in the last episode, that would be next week as well, is because if everyone gives interviews, so it's not really if you're starting, that's the only point. When you're giving interviews, you have to give interviews for everything, especially if you are in college and you're looking for recruitments. Writing a business email is going to be one of the selection process, one of the selection stage of your selection process. So how to ace a business email? Because when I was in college, I really had no idea how to write business emails, no idea at all. And this is really not something that we are taught. So even though till class 12th we are taught how to write letters and emails, we are never ever taught how to write business emails, and it's not at all similar to the letters that we write. So let's talk about this. So these are all the terms that we should avoid. So never, never, ever say these terms directly in the email. However, we have to sugarcoat it. So how are we gonna do that? So instead of "no," say "I apologize," or "unfortunately." Let's say "No, I have a product. I have uh, a toffee. The toffee is over. I don't have any more toffees, and I get an order for additional toffees from the customer. Now I have to say no. What will I say? Will I say "No, sorry, I don't have it"? No. We will say "Unfortunately, um, this is not currently available in stock," or "I really apologize. However, we are short on this." So this is how you say no. If you are doing something and you have a lot already on your plate and you don't want the additional task to be given to you, just say, um, um, "XYZ, I really apologize, but I have a lot on my plate, so I guess I would not really be able to help you out with this." That's it. Start your sentences with either "unfortunately" or "I apologize," but "unfortunately" is preferable. I don't know. If you don't know something, what you can say is, "I will talk to my team about this and get back to you," or "I'll get back to you on this. I'm not really sure, but I would confirm this for you and then get back to you." This is how you say "I don't know." Sorry, again, you don't say sorry, you say "I apologize." Um, did you see it? If you send any email and you want to confirm if they got it or not, if they've seen it, or if they've seen or read it or not, um, XYZ, could you please confirm if you had a chance to go over it? This is how you say. Did you have a chance to go over this? Reply fast. If you want someone to reply really fast, you won't say reply back to me. Why are you not replying? You would rather say, dear XYZ, this is a really time sensitive issue, so I would really appreciate if you revert. Now, when you use the term revert or reply, never use back. This is grammatically incorrect. So it's revert, kindly revert to me, kindly reply, but you don't say kindly reply back or revert back. No. After making the client wait, if you have put your client on hold, or after you said that you would have to talk to your team about this and then get back to them. So when you get back to them, what are you gonna say? You're gonna say, um, I really appreciate your patience. Instead of apologizing for making someone wait, always say you appreciate their patience. You appreciate them holding on to the line if you're on call with someone. And then I was able to check this out with my team, and it seems like then you give your solution. Or if it has been really, really long, you have not reverted to the client. So, how are you going to revert to them? You're going to say, I really apologize for the long delay. However, then start. I'm busy. So, if you want to say no to some work and say that I'm pretty busy, you won't be really able to do this or be present for a certain party or a meeting. Let's say, I really apologize, but I already have a lot on my plate, so you won't be able to help them with that. You already have something on your plate, or you're already swamped with work, or you already have to do XYZ, so you're afraid you won't be able to help them out with this. This is not possible. So if something is not possible, you don't really say this is not possible. You don't want to say that. That hinders customer satisfaction. So instead, you say, unfortunately, this is currently not under the scope of the product, or unfortunately, this is not really possible at the moment. However, and don't just stop there, give them an alternate. However, if you're going to work on this further, let's just say, however, I am working on this to let's say, cash for your product, there's not no cash on delivery. So let's say, unfortunately, cash on delivery option is not really available at the moment. However, we are working on this with our product team, or we are working on this to make this option available as soon as possible. Give them an alternate. Or if you're not working on this project, just say, however, you do have an option to pay via net banking or UPI. That's how you do it. When you have to say no thank you, I'll pass. If you say no thank you to something, you can say, if you're normally verbally communicating, you can say, no thank you, I'm good. No, I'm good. So, or if you have to be very, very formal, you can say, I really apologize, I won't be able to be present for it because of prior engagements. However, now you can add anything. However, I really hope you have a good time. However, I hope you have a blast. However, I hope you have a great event. Something like this. Did you do what I asked you to do? If you send them an email, ask them to do some email, and now you have to, you're waiting to see if whether they did it or not, you'll say, instead of saying this exactly and being rude, you can say, hey Janvi, could you please confirm if you're able to do this? Let's say if you there was a report that you have to present. So, hey Janvi, I just wanted to confirm if you had time to go over the report once that I sent you in the previous email, or this email is in regards to a follow up regarding the previous email that I sent. Now, the last sentence that I use is basically used for the clients. However, if you're asking your subordinate about this, use the prior sentence. That if you, I just wanted to confirm if you got a chance to um, or look or to go about the previous emails. Next would be, this is not possible. I always, so I have explained this already. So if something is not possible, you just say, unfortunately, this is not available at the moment. However, then proceed. Ask the client about something, or you want to say, give me this, or you want some information, you want to get their callback number. If you want to call them and you are sending them the email and you want to get their preferred callback number, you won't say, please provide me with your number. No, what you'd rather say, if could you please confirm the preferred callback number that will work for you, or could you please confirm the preferred callback time, something like that. So could you please confirm instead of give me this? Do you want it? If you if you have something and you just uh, want to ask them that if they want it or not, say, I have a report and I want to ask my subordinate, do you want it? You won't say do you want it. You would say, would you like it? If even if it's tea or coffee, you won't say do you want it. You'll say, would you like it? Would you like to have some? Would you like to have it? Something like that. If you want to ask someone to wait, you won't say wait. Stop. That I'm doing something. I'll get back. No. What you'll say, would you mind holding on for a bit while I'm checking, or while I complete this? Would you mind holding on? Or would you mind waiting a little longer? Something like that. I want some time. If you want to ask for some extra time, you were asked to do something, you were unable to do it, now you want extra time. So you won't say, oh, I didn't do it, I couldn't do it. You won't either say, I want some time. You would rather say, um, could you please wait a little longer? Yeah, fair. It's taking a little longer for me to check this. So would you mind waiting a little longer? Something like that. I don't know the answer yet. So this is similar in lines of, I want some time and you want to check something with your team. So you can say, I'm still waiting. Let's say you ask your team about a question that you're unaware of. You've already told the client that I'm asking them, and now you have to get back to the client and you still don't have any answer. So you can, instead of making them wait, you can just say, I am still in the process of checking this or getting this checked with my team. However, it's taking longer than expected. So would you mind? Then carry on with your sentence. Why? Now, if someone has asked you something and you want to know the reason why, so Janvi, are you free this weekend? Why? No, you won't say this. You'd rather say, um, may I know, or could you please elaborate? Let's say, um, if the client or your manager has asked you to give you a report, and you have no idea why is he asking me this, you can simply ask them, um, I don't really understand the need, or could you please confirm, or could you please help me understand the reason why you're asking me this, something like that. Or could you please elaborate on that? Do you want this or that? If you want to confirm if your customer wants either X or Y, you can say, like, for example, would you like to have a cup of tea or coffee? So would you like to have a call back or an email? What do you mean? So if someone just said something and you didn't really understand why they said it, or what they really mean by it, you can just say, could you please elaborate? I really apologize, I wasn't able to really interpret or understand what you just said. So could you please repeat it? Or could you please elaborate? Do you know? So if you are teaching somebody something and you just want to ask them, so let's say I ask you to go to my computer, and I just say, do you know where my computer is? It can be pretty uncomfortable. So instead of saying, do you know, just say, would you need any help? Or would you need any assistance on how to, I mean, or um, would you need any assistance locating my computer on your laptop? Something like this. Would you need assistance or would you need any help? Now, last would be, do you want help? So, instead of just waiting for them to ask you to help them, because it could be pretty awkward for people to ask help from you. So you can just, and instead of awkwardly waiting, you can just offer to help. And how do you ask if they need help or not? You can just say, would you like me to help you? Or would you like me to help you with the steps? Something like that. So with this is the end of all the important um, jargons, I would say, you would use in a business email, so that what all terminologies that you need to use, because you don't really need to be a master in writing business emails, you just need to be a master on these terminologies that you have to use. So I would suggest you, whatever I have covered here, just repeat, rewind it, and write it in a notebook, and just go through it every once in a while, and you would get used to it. So always use third party words, the third person pronouns, and don't say I, me, myself too much. So try to use a connecting word like however, therefore, additionally, since, lastly, instead of just writing it in a not so well connected form. So this is it about today's presentation and today's session. I know it has been really long today, but it was really, really necessary. I would try to cover more of these topics in future whenever I get a chance. But for this was it. So I will get back to you in the next episode of our public speaking series at the same time, that's 7:30 p.m. IST every Sunday. Next week would be the last episode. So I really hope to see you again. With this, thank you so much for joining in. I hope this helped. Take care and bye bye.